Hello friends, good evening and welcome to you all of you to my channel Muskan Khanna. So the purpose of today's video is to share spiritual vitamins with you. So let me tell you how I got this inspired thought to create these videos or a series of videos on spiritual vitamins. So basically nowadays I see that in the view of pandemic all around, doctors and everybody has been advising intake of vitamin C for the physical immunity, that it does help that you build up a strong immunity and you are protected against the virus, the coronavirus nowadays. It did strike me that if vitamin C is so important for the physical immunity, how can this awareness that spiritual immunity is equally important, how can I do something to spread this message to my community and my loved ones? So from there this thought started that I will share vitamin S, which is the spiritual immunity. Vitamin S is vitamin of spirituality basically. So, and how does it protect actually? Spiritual vitamin S, how does it protect me? Because we know we are going to leave this body-mind complex on this short journey that we have appeared in the universe. We are just going to drop this in a few years. So if not through coronavirus, anyways, there is a bigger virus today which is always running through our lifetime, and that is the virus of time. So in due course of time, with whatever destiny has in store for me, I will have to leave this body-mind complex here. So what goes on with me in another births, if that is what is there in my destiny, is my soul karma, the karmic imprints which we carry to the other births. So in that direction, I thought, why not build up the spiritual immunity also in this lockdown while we are in the quarantine period. So in the first of the series of the spiritual vitamins, I'm going to share a very beautiful story which had touched my heart. I think almost 6 to 8 years back is when this story had appeared in my consciousness, and that story was of Anita Moorjani. So Anita's Moorjani is a very, very inspiring journey from battling with cancer to actually being on her deathbed, and then towards total and true healing. Anita Moorjani's journey can be read in her own words in the book which she has titled as Dying to Be Me. When I read it for the first time, I remember I was traveling for work from home to office, and it was early in the morning, and I was sitting in my car, and I remember I was stuck in traffic, and one such video just popped up in the list of suggestions on YouTube, and After that, I do not know how and when the half an hour from that traffic signal to my office just vanished. Time just vanished. I did not know because I was so engrossed in the story and the awesomeness of the story. It really gave me goosebumps actually. So, her story is an exemplary demonstration for the fact that awareness and healing is beyond time and space, utterly independent of the physical body. So, as Anita's story goes, Anita was at the last stage of her cancer, and Anita's organs had completely shut down. She had lost all ability to move and eventually fell into a coma. As per her story, which you can also see some videos on the YouTube, and that is how I had got in touch with her story. So she had on her body the tumors as big as the size of lemons throughout her body and her lymphatic system, from her skull to below her abdomen. Her brain was filled with fluid, as were her lungs. Her skin had developed lesions that were weeping with toxins. The doctors were not sure whether she will make up that night or no. And this is what she experienced now, in her own words, what I will be reading now. She says, in this near death state, I was more acutely aware of all that was going on than I have ever been in a normal physical state. So even though her body was lying, I'm just interpreting it for you to understand that even though her body was lying in a physical state of utter despair, she said that she was acutely aware, means she was having a heightened sense of awareness of whatever was happening around her. So to go back to her story, in her own words, she says, I wasn't using my 5 biological senses. Just listen to this, do pay attention. Yet, I was keenly taking everything in, much more than if I had been using my physical organs. It was though another completely different type of perception kicked in, and more than just perceive, I seemed to also encompass everything that was happening, as though I was slowly merging with it all. I knew when people came to see me, who they were and what they were doing. Do remember, she was in the stage of coma that time. Although my physical eyes were closed, I seemed to be acutely aware of every minute detail that was taking place. The sharpness of my perception was more intense than if I had been using my physical senses. I seemed to know and understand everything, not only what was going on around me, but also what everyone was feeling, as though I were able to see and feel through each person. I was extremely aware of every detail, but I couldn't physically feel anything except a release and a level of freedom I had never known before. I felt no emotional attachment to my lifeless body as it lay there on the hospital bed. It didn't feel as though it were mine. I felt free, liberated, and magnificent. Every pain, ache, sadness, and sorrow was gone. I began to feel weightless and to become aware that I was able to be anywhere at any time. And this didn't seem unusual. It felt normal, as though this were the real way to perceive things. I continued to be fully aware of every detail of every procedure that was being administered to me, while to the outside world I appeared to be in a coma. I felt a sense of freedom and liberation that I had never experienced in my physical life before. Perhaps I had finally been aroused from a bad dream. My consciousness was finally realizing its true magnificence, and in doing so, it was expanding beyond my body and this physical world until it encompassed not only this existence but continued to expand into another realm that was beyond time and space. Love, joy, ecstasy, and awe poured into me, through me, engulfed me. I was swallowed up and enveloped in more love than I ever knew existed. I felt more free and alive than I ever had. To my amazement, I became aware of the presence of my father who had died 10 years earlier. There were no words, but I clearly understood. And then I recognized the essence of my best friend Soni, who had died 3 years prior. I felt what I can only describe as excitement, as their presence enveloped me like a warm embrace, and I was comforted. I knew they loved me very much. I felt nothing but unconditional love. I had an unlimited perception, as if a new sense had become available, one that was more heightened than any of our usual faculties. I had a 360-degree peripheral vision with total awareness of my surroundings. And, and as amazing as it all sounds, my throat is choking now that when I'm reading this actually. And as amazing as it all sounds, it still felt almost being normal. Time felt different in that realm. My awareness in that expanded realm was indescribable despite my best efforts to explain it. The clarity was amazing. And then I was overwhelmed by the realization that God isn't a being, but a state of being. And I was now that state of being. So powerful, so powerful. This is the same thing on which we had the session last Sunday, the Sunday which just went, which is our spiritual Sunday sessions that we are doing online with my community in the Zoom. With Master's grace and blessings, we did the same thing, that who am I? And she's also saying the same thing, that I had the realization God isn't a being but a state of being. And listen to this, and she says, I was now that state of being. So powerful. In that state of clarity, I also realized that I am not who I had always thought I was. Here I am without my body, race, culture, religion, or beliefs, yet I continue to exist. The unconditional love and acceptance was incredible. And I wanted to cross the threshold in order to continue to experience it for eternity. As though to confirm my realization, I became aware of both my father and Sony communicating to me, now that you know the truth of who you really are, go back and live your life fearlessly. And as we end this, you'll be surprised to hear, after this experience, Anita says her condition started improving so rapidly that she could be released from hospital within a few weeks, without a trace of cancer in her body. How wonderful! How expansive! How powerful this is! This is to even if we have a slightest glimpse of realization, this is so beautiful. In her journey, obviously her book is very is worth reading. Actually, it's a journey in itself, but in a short span of time, I hope I am able to deliver the essence that everything outside is existing, but the real awareness is inside. And that is where our spiritual vitamins will help you to awaken to the real power of who you are, who you really are actually. I hope this spiritual vitamin of today is able to open up a new level of consciousness, or uncover a new level of consciousness in you. Don't limit yourself with the body and mind identity, because you are much more beyond that. And people ask me that what will happen? Will it be an will I still love my people? I am saying you will be able to live your life in an expansive way, in a way that you have never ever loved people so much actually. So detachment is not from the point of view of taking it as a route of escapism, but as the root of actually living that person in a true, loving that person in the true essence of who they really are. So it is not escapism actually, it is living your real essence. So this is what our today's spiritual vitamin wants to ensure that you get the essence, and do keep logging in. I want to thank my community who are regularly, with grace of God, they encourage and they join the spiritual Sunday sessions through Zoom. So we will ensure that we bring the best of things to you. So do read Anita's book, or do check out her videos on YouTube. Her full name is Anita Moorjani. Okay, thank you for staying. Thank you.